Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of our journey to defeating the Arcane River. Started off pretty promising, but I'll have to say I've definitely been spoiled by my main while training with Lynx and Legion and all that sort of stuff set up. It's a lot slower than I'm used to, but it's about as fast at the moment as I expected, and hopefully it gets better as we work on this account. After getting my Arcana to 3rd job, I got access to a new skill called Kishin, which I touched on previously. For those who don't know, it's a skill that is a summon that does damage, and also while it's up, it increases the spawn rate of the map and also the spawn density. So I figured I'd try to give it a go and grind with Kishin up, but while I was training with Kishin up, I still felt that it was quite slow, maybe because my character's just weak at the beginning, just like a fresh account and whatnot. I really felt like I could have done more of the theme dungeons, and I might try doing this for the other characters I'm going to be working on. I mentioned in the previous part that I only did 3 out of the 4 available dungeons, but for the next couple of characters I might try to do all 4 of them. It seems a little bit inefficient, but honestly when the characters are 5-shotting at level 60, I think that they're about the same speed. And I think I'll actually favor the dungeons a little bit more on the other classes, because on this particular character, on Kana, you actually have Kishin, which speeds up training, but the other classes don't have the luxury of spawn enhancement, so maybe it's better on the other classes, we'll just have to see. For my Kana from 60 to 70, I trained at Military Camp 1 in Pirion, so this is just my preferred map to train in at this level. There are other options such as training in Silent Swamp in Sleepywood, but I figured that here in Pirion, there's more chance of it being a free map, and I didn't want to fight for maps in Sleepywood. After hitting level 70, I went to Stairway to the Sky 2 where the cats are, and I stayed there until about level 75. And honestly, during this time when I was training, I really did start missing the theme dungeons, and I was pretty much begging at this point to be let into the Afterlands. For those who don't know, the Afterlands is a theme dungeon that opens up at level 75, so I was pretty much just waiting until I can get into that theme dungeon. And then once I hit 75, I actually went to town first to check on a few things. The first thing is I realized I didn't claim my emblem, so make sure you guys claim that in the light bulb after you hit level 60, it's just free damage. And similarly, I didn't do anything with my inner ability, so you should probably at least unlock that as soon as you can. And another thing which is a little bit silly was I actually couldn't find any fans off the floor, so I was using the starter fan for the entire time up to this point. Maybe that's why I thought the training was so slow, but I don't know, I just guess I didn't find one off the floor. So I actually went into the equipment shop in Orbis to buy the level 60 one. It's just so that I could use it until I could find a better one. Anyway, back to the main focus of this part, let's get started on the Afterlands. I won't be walking through how I do the Afterlands in this part, but if you guys are interested in the way that I go through this theme dungeon, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll walk through you guys the way that I do it. I'll let my character go through the Afterlands in the background, so then I can discuss a few things about this dungeon. The first thing that I want to point out is that I actually genuinely think that the Afterlands is like one of the best pieces of content in the game, especially in the early game. Early on, when you don't have access to Lynx and Legion, or any of the damage links and stuff like that, you get like maybe 10 levels every hour or so. This is of course assuming you don't have spawn enhancement and you don't have 2x coupons and stuff like that. It is a lot slower at the beginning of a fresh account. And keeping this in mind, this is why I kind of think that the Afterlands is so good, because the amount of time that it takes you to finish the Afterlands usually takes you between 30 minutes to an hour to finish, and it gives you about 10 levels from finishing the dungeon. So the pacing is about as fast as training manually, but it gives you a lot more than that because you don't need to have Kishin, you don't need to have a totem, and you don't need 2x coupons to make the same amount of EXP rates. Of course, this implies that you have to know what you're doing, or at least have a guide to walk you through the Afterlands. But I think with that extra bit of effort, it's definitely worth just trying to do the Afterlands to get the EXP from it. The second thing that you get from the dungeon are obviously the totems. These totems are free damage and are practically best in slot for most players, unless they decide to farm for the Yew Garden totems, which are somewhat inconvenient to farm, or if Nexon decides to bring back any events that give totems. Personally, I would prefer to spend the time it takes to do the Afterlands than having to farm for totems that expire monthly. The totems in Yew Garden require you to get the drop from the mobs, and you gotta get all 3 of them for you to get the set effect, and one of them has a particularly low drop rate compared to the others, so in my opinion I think it's too frustrating to farm for them, and you might as well do the Afterlands for permanent totems. Once I finished the Afterlands, I was about level 85 and I headed off to Ariant. You can easily get to Ariant through the Maple Guide, and I decided to train on the rabbits on the west side of the main town. Around this level is when it starts to get a lot slower, and unfortunately there aren't that many different places that you can train on outside of the desert areas. The only reason why I went to the rabbits was because they are the lowest level things that you can hit, and they give alright EXP. So I stayed here until about level 90, and I actually gave a try at the Silent Crusade questline, just to see if it gave any kind of EXP. And unfortunately, as good as the questline is for other rewards like potions, mastery books and rings, the XP rewards were quite low, so I didn't continue doing it. Also, once you hit level 90, make sure you equip the Afterland totems for the extra damage. At level 90, I usually train at Sahel 2 or one of the maps around this area, like Desert of Serenity as well. All these maps are pretty fine, and on a new account you won't be able to really tell a difference in the pace of killing things, so I think either of the maps are fine to train on. I was in Sahel 2 for a couple of levels, and then I started getting sick of looking at the desert, so I decided to start the Ellen Forest questline. You unlock this questline at level 95, and honestly the questline was okay in terms of EXP. I found that the EXP that you get from killing the mobs for the questline and actually completing the quest, the EXP was actually quite decent, and the only issue I had with this dungeon is that a lot of the quests were pickup quests. So if you do plan on trying to do this dungeon, make sure that you have some time left on the free snail that you get at the start, or you have a pet of some sort. Doing this manually to pick up everything might take you some time, so just a forewarning about this. There is a lot of pickup quests. The biggest thing that I found out about this dungeon was that it actually had some pretty good training spots. In particular, the maps on the right side with the fairies are very good. These maps have 100% burning all the time by the looks of it, and they are quite dense, so it makes for a pretty good EXP gain if you were to train here. On future characters, I might consider just skipping the questline and going straight here to train. When I finished the questline, I ended up a little bit past level 100, and then I took the chance to level up my 4th job skills before clearing Zakum. Zakum is probably where I'm going to be parking a lot of my 120 characters once I finish their links, because they'll give me a decent chunk of EXP, even all the way up to level 150, but also more importantly, I'm going to use it as my main source of meso income until I can actually start clearing more daily bosses. I try to grab a rune before doing Zakum whenever I can, so then I can make the most out of the boss's EXP. Make sure that if you do plan on killing Zakum, aim to kill the arms first because they give a lot of EXP, and also try not to die because you don't want to lose your EXP buffs if you can help it. For my Kana, I killed Zakum 2 times, once before and after reset, and I got to level 110, and once I got to level 110, I just trained at the robots in Ludi until 120. So now that I'm level 120, I'm pretty much done with my Kana for the time being. I won't be pushing any levels on it at the moment until I finish up the other link skills I want to work on, because I don't think that the Legion blocks are that worthwhile training on at the moment for me. A lot of the Legion blocks at the moment, if I want to improve them, are for bossing, and I don't even have a main established. So right now I'm just focusing on trying to get my link skills done. So what that means for me and this Kana is that it's going to be sitting on Zakum, like I said. And it's going to be sitting here and doing Zakum every day, both for money and also for the drops. I actually managed to get both the drops on the previous run, so no complaints there from my end, which is kind of nice. So if I do come back to the Kana, at least it will have the drops ready. And on that note, I think that is all for this part. So now I have my first Link character complete. Yay, only another 20 or so more to go, but that is okay. It's a marathon, not a sprint, so I'm looking forward to working on all those other characters. Thank you guys for joining me so far. In the next part, I'll be starting on my Demon Avenger, and then trying to get that to level 120. Wherever you guys are in the world, hopefully you all have a wonderful day, and as always, thanks for watching. Take care.